The desert wind howled through the twisted mesquite trees, carrying grains of sand like needles across the barren land. The sun was sinking low, staining the sky a deep red. When Elias Crow finally saw her, at first he thought it was just another cruel trick of the desert bones, or a torn piece of cloth caught in the branches. But as he moved closer, his sharp eyes narrowed. It wasn't a trick. It was a woman. She was tied tightly to a thick, crooked tree, her arms stretched behind the trunk, wrists bound with rough rope. Her head hung forward, dark hair matted with dust and blood. Her dress, what remained of it, was torn and stiff with dried stains. But what made Elias stop cold was the carving on her back. Even from a distance, he could read it. Comanche lover. The words had been cut deep into her skin, slowly, deliberately. Not a quick act of anger. This was punishment. A message. Elias's jaw tightened. He had seen cruelty before, too much of it, but this was something else. He scanned the horizon out of instinct. No riders, no smoke. Whoever had done this was long gone. Still breathing? He muttered under his breath as he approached. He crouched beside her, placing 2 fingers carefully against her neck. A faint pulse flickered beneath her skin. Barely, he said. For a moment, he hesitated. Elias Crow was not a man who saved people. Not anymore. Years ago, he had been a scout for the army, guiding men through lands that did not belong to them. He had seen villages burned, families torn apart, seen both sides of war, and learned there were no clean hands in it. That was why he lived alone now. No attachments. No trouble. He looked at the woman again. Whoever she was, she had been left here to die slowly under the desert sun. Maybe she had broken some rule. Maybe she had loved the wrong man. Or maybe she had simply been in the wrong place. It wasn't his problem. Elias stood up, turning away. He took 3 steps. Then he stopped. The wind shifted, carrying a faint, broken sound behind him. A whisper of breath, or maybe a word. He clenched his fists. "Damn it," he growled. Turning back, he walked to the tree again, pulling a knife from his belt. The blade flashed in the dying light. "This doesn't mean anything," he muttered, as if convincing himself. He cut through the rope binding her wrists. Her body collapsed forward, but he caught her before she hit the ground. She was lighter than he expected, too light. Starved. Carefully, he lowered her onto the sand. Up close, he could see how badly she had been beaten. Bruises darkened her arms and face. Her lips were cracked, her breathing shallow. "Who did this to you?" he asked quietly. Her eyelids fluttered, barely opening. For a second, he thought she wouldn't respond. But then, in a voice so weak it almost disappeared in the wind, she whispered, "They said I belonged to him." "Who?" Elias asked. Her lips trembled. "A Comanche." Her eyes closed again. Elias looked down at the carved words on her bay. Elias carried her through the night. The desert grew colder with every passing hour. The heat of the day replaced by a biting chill that cut through bone. He wrapped her in his worn blanket and secured her carefully across his horse, one arm always steadying her fragile body as they rode. She didn't wake. By the time the first pale light of dawn touched the horizon, Elias reached his cabin, a small, weather-beaten structure tucked between rocky hills, hidden from any main trail. It was the kind of place no one found unless they were looking very hard, or very desperate. He dismounted quickly, lifting her into his arms. She felt even lighter now, like she might break if he held her too tightly. Inside, the cabin was simple, just a bed, a table, and a small stove, but it was clean. He laid her down gently. For a moment, he just stood there, staring at her. "This is foolish," he muttered. "You should have left her." But he didn't. Instead, he got to work. He heated water, cleaned her wounds as carefully as he could. When he reached the carving on her back, his hands slowed. The cuts were deep, some already infected. Whoever had done it hadn't rushed. Elias clenched his jaw and poured a little whiskey over the wound. Even unconscious, she reacted, her body tensing, a faint cry escaping her lips. "I know," he said quietly. "Hurts." He bandaged her as best he could, then forced a few drops of water between her lips. Most of it spilled out, but some she swallowed. Hours passed. By midday, she finally stirred. Her eyes opened slowly, unfocused at first, then suddenly sharp with fear. She tried to sit up, but pain shot through her body and she gasped. "Easy," Elias said, stepping into view. "You're safe." Her breathing quickened. "Where?" "My place." "You were left to die out there." She stared at him. confusion and suspicion battling in her gaze.
White, help me.
Elias didn't answer right away. He leaned against the wall, arms crossed. Wrong place, wrong time, he said finally. That's all. She studied him as if trying to decide whether to believe him. They'll come back, she whispered. Who? The men. From the town. Her voice trembled. They said I shamed them. Said I betrayed my own kind. Elias's eyes narrowed. By loving a Comanche? She flinched at the word. I didn't betray anyone, she said weakly. He saved my life. Months ago. I was lost in the desert. He could have left me, but he didn't. And that was enough for them to carve you up? Elias asked, his tone hard. They think, she swallowed painfully. They think I belong to him now. Silence filled the room. Elias pushed himself off the wall and walked to the window, glancing out toward the empty land beyond. His instincts were already screaming. Trouble was coming. You got a name? He asked without turning around. Anna, she said softly. Anna Whitmore. Elias nodded once. Elias. Another pause. Anna shifted slightly, wincing. You should have left me, she said. If they find me here, they'll... The riders came at dusk. Elias saw them before they reached the ridge, dark shapes, moving against the burning sky. A cloud of dust trailing behind them. 6 men, armed. He didn't need Anna to tell him who they were. Inside the cabin, she had gone pale, her hands trembling as she tried to sit up. They found me, she whispered. Elias calmly loaded his rifle. Stay down, he said. No matter what you hear. They won't listen, she said, panic rising in her voice. They think I know what they think, Elias cut in. His tone was steady, cold. Doesn't matter. He stepped outside, closing the door behind him. The wind had died, leaving the air heavy and still. The riders approached slowly, spreading out as they neared the cabin. Their leader, a thick-set man with a graying beard, rode ahead of the others. Well, I'll be damned, the man called out. Elias Crow. Thought you crawled off somewhere to die. Elias rested his rifle loosely in his hands. Not today. The man smirked. We're not here for you. Hand over the girl. No. The answer came without hesitation. The men shifted in their saddles, exchanging glances. The leader's expression darkened. That girl's a disgrace. She chose savages over her own people. We're cleaning up a mistake. Elias's grip on the rifle tightened slightly. What you did to her wasn't cleaning anything. She made her choice, the man snapped. Now we finish it. A long silence stretched between them. Then Elias spoke, his voice low and dangerous. You take one more step. And you don't ride away. For a moment it seemed like the leader might laugh it off. Instead, he raised his hand. Take him. The first shot echoed across the desert like thunder. Elias moved before the sound faded. His rifle cracked, and the man on the far left dropped from his horse instantly. Chaos exploded. Gunfire tore through the quiet evening. Horses screamed, men shouted. Elias moved with precision, years of instinct guiding every step. He ducked behind the water trough as bullets splintered the wood beside him. Another shot, another rider fell. But they had numbers. A bullet grazed Elias's arm, tearing through his sleeve. He didn't react, just reloaded and fired again. Then, a sharp cry from inside the cabin. Elias's heart slammed. One of the riders had circled behind. Anna, he shouted. The door burst open and the man lunged inside. Elias didn't think. He ran straight into the open, ignoring the gunfire, and reached the cabin just as a shot rang out from within. For a split second, everything went silent. Then the man stumbled backward out of the doorway before collapsing into the dirt. Behind him, Anna stood in the doorway, shaking, a smoking pistol in her hand. I didn't mean... Her voice broke. You did what you had to, Elias said firmly. The remaining riders hesitated. Their leader looked from the fallen men to Elias, then to Anna. Something in his expression changed. Damn it, he muttered. Fall back! Within seconds,